Ready whenever you are.
Sign late.
You don't even sit down, ready?
Perfect timing.
Meeting called to order. Today is Tuesday, March 19th. It's now 6:04 PM. Town Council meeting is a sewer commission, 1170 Main Street, West Warwick, Rhode Island. Jay, will you lead us in prayer?
We ask for the wisdom to make good decisions, to speak with confidence and listen with compassion, and work together to create a better way of life for the people of West Warwick. Amen.
Jay, listen to pledge allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, roll call. President Goslin.
Here.
Vice President Williamson.
Here.
Councilman Messier.
Here.
Councilman Lichardi.
Here.
Councilman Dennison.
Here.
Participating communities, Town of Coventry, Town of Situate, City of Cranston, City of Warwick, Town of West Greenwich. Quorum is declared. Minutes of the previous meeting, minutes of the February 27th, 2024 Sewer Commission meeting.
Move approval of the minutes.
Second.
Moving second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Report, Superintendent's report.
Evening, Council. Be reading the Superintendent's report for February 2024. The daily average flow for the facility was 6.8 MGD. The maximum was 14.1. The minimum was 3.4. CBOD removal, we achieved a 98% removal. TSS removal, we achieved a 97% removal. Total phosphorus removal, we achieved a 0.9, which is under the limit of 1. Total sludge, we had sludge to Synagro was 476 tons. We had 13 tons go to landfill for a total of 489 tons. Sewer backups, there were 0 in the public lines. We had 4 in the private lines, 1 on Silverwood Lane, 1 on Main Street, Carlson Circle, and Oakland Drive. We had 1 odor complaint. It was on Main Street. And after doing investigation, we couldn't find any cause. There were some overflowing dumpsters in the area. And just in case, we cleaned and jetted all the lines in that area as well. We had no violations for the facility for the month of February. And the inverted siphon that broke at Bradford Soap, those repairs have been completed.
Do we have any final cost on that, Josh?
I'd have to,
No, not yet.
not yet.
Okay.
Any other,
Blocks, right?
I'm sorry,
Couple blocks.
Yeah.
few dollars.
any other questions for Josh? Hearing none. Thank you, Josh.
Thank you.
Thank you, Council.
Industrial Pretreatment Program Report.
Good evening. Happy St. Joseph's Day to everybody.
Yeah.
Okay, for the month of February, the industrial pretreatment report. Palmera did submit their monthly self-monitoring report, and that was in compliance with the regulations. With regards to Amgen, they put us on notice that the new neutralization process was installed. This is the standby to the primary neutralization process. If you recall, back probably 6 months, maybe almost a year ago now, with odors in Coventry, this was the primary reason the neutralization system had failed, so they could not neutralize their wastewater before it was discharged. That has been corrected, and since that point, they made modifications. There have been no odor complaints that I've received anyways from the town of Coventry. With regards to the private wastewater treatment facilities, a notice of violation was issued to Clyde Woods, instructing the owner to clean the line by the 15th of March and submit an O&M manual by the 18th of April. Staff met with him, as well as the superintendent, met with him today. He's asked for an extension so he can procure bids to do the cleaning. We're going to issue a 30-day extension so that he could secure bids. If he doesn't comply within the 30 days, notice of violation. Again, will be issued with a fine at this time. With regards to food services industries, there were 9 that were inspected during the month of February.
Chief, can I ask you a question? on
Sure.
that last topic?
Sure.
So you're talking about the question I always have with the private pump station. So what happens if there's damage if we have a private pump station here and there's damage, there's issues with it. And granted, they need time to clean that up, and that trickles down to, say, the next building down, the Shell station, the gas station. Who's responsible for all that?
They
That
are,
mess.
they are ultimately responsible. The town has to be proactive to correct it, but then they are financially responsible. Give you a good example. I'm glad you raised that question. Today, we got a call that East Greenwich Square's force main ruptured. The O&M manual did exactly what it's supposed to do. We knew who to contact. We got it stopped. We got the pumpers there. It stopped flowing and they repaired it within the day. So the O&M manuals, while everybody thinks, it doesn't really matter or whatever, it does provide you at least to contact people. So that happened today and we fixed it today.
And we have that on every private pump station.
Yeah, the majority, they're not complete. This is one that has been lingering for a while.
So we don't have it on this one.
That's correct.
And I know we've been looking for that. Over 3 years ago, we gave them notice that we needed that and they didn't comply with that. Why are we still dealing with this?
There was
3 years
no,
later?
there was no financial, there was no penalty clause in the ordinance. We've since put that in. So now we have some meat to go after and
Okay.
do that. That's why he's given until the 15th. I mean, we have bits and pieces of it. We know now what the capacity of pump station is. We know where it services. Remember, this was put in prior to his ownership. This was a mobile home park that was proposed, I want to say in the late 80s, early 90s. And so there's a lot of things that we still don't know about the area.
With the purchase comes all that's good and bad.
That's correct.
So he is responsible, they are responsible.
They
for
are
it.
responsible for
So
that.
if there is damage to another property, are those property owners allowed to come after the town or do they go after?
I would defer to Tim Williamson on that as far as a legal, who they can.
That's my biggest concern with this one because this one's been hanging over our heads for over 3 years.
So as his part of the problem with this is, as you said, with buying the property came the obligations.
Mhm.
Buying a portion of that property, the people that buy that portion or segment of the property knows what they're getting into, that it's a private line. They bought into a private line. I don't know, it's just like a condominium association. Okay? Just consider it like that. The property owner bought into that. You buying a condo, you buy the obligations of that condo. So that's where this is like a subdivision, if you want to.
And that's, Jim, that's my biggest concern is that people that buy into that line are doing so under the understanding that the town is controlling what's happening with that line
To some degree.
to enough where we might find ourselves in litigation if we're not careful, right?
I disagree with that only because with the premise that we might find ourselves in litigation because we're doing what we have to do. And as anybody buying a piece of property has to do their due diligence is what I'm tying into, what I'm buying into, is that adequate? There's an obligation to both parties, all 3 parties, the town, the person buying and the person selling.
Jim,
So,
why can't we just, I'm not looking at anything specific, Clyde Woods, I don't even know where Clyde Woods is. I probably should, but I don't. If we have 28 of these private, and I've been asking these questions for like 5 years now.
Yes.
Why can't we, as a town, say, this is what, like a checklist, just like when
We
you're
do.
buying a.
We have a
Right, so
check.
if they're not meeting the checklist and you can't sign off on the permit, then why don't we give I mean, I'm not looking to give a violation, but, it's a domino effect. If, in whatever case scenario, something does happens in East Greenwich.
Right.
You don't have all the information, we're stuck. I think that's our fault. They're not being assertive enough and saying, we need this, 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 and this, or in 30 days, you owe this. And in 30 days, you owe this, and then you go to municipal court.
That's
You
what's
know,
gonna
and I'm
happen.
not trying to,
And that's
you know,
where it
but
is,
that's,
yeah.
I've been asking this for 5 years.
This
And
one,
now
in
we
pa-
come into issues, I'm less tolerant with it. I'm sorry. but-
this one in particular, I mean, been no backups. There's nobody been, has any issue at this time. But in this one in particular, that's why he's given only 30 days to procure the cleaning.
But what about the other ones that are not up to par?
There's missing very little information.
But it's still missing information.
We'll follow up on those. I'll give you a report next month
Thank
on,
you.
So
I want-
a couple last questions, if you don't
Sure.
mind. So 30 days, what is the exact date of that? Is it 30 days from today,
30 days from,
yesterday, today?
the letter's going out tomorrow, so,
Okay, so from when they received the letter.
right.
All right. And are we looking for the cleaning to be done within 30 days, or they
Yes.
have to procure and
No, I-
get it scheduled within 30 days?
This is a small project. He's not a commercial, yeah. It's not something you have to go out and solicit proposals
Okay,
for.
all
I mean,
right,
it should be calls a cleaner up and do it. It's not a big deal.
all right.
In my opinion,
Well, I
East
know
Greenwich, East Greenwich Square does it every quarter. They have somebody come in, they clean it. The same thing with Little Hoosians that crosses from the Shake Shack over to, by the Inskip.
Yep.
That's all cleaned, that's private. It's all been cleaned.
That sounds like a best practice to
Yes,
maintain it that way.
because the grease buildup is tremendous.
So what is the requirement of a minimum cleaning? Is it a year?
No, there's no minimum cleaning. On those, there are because of the oil and grease that's generated from them. In this particular case, there was a claim that there was an overflow. We went out there, we saw no evidence of overflow, but we continued to check the system and found that there was sediment within the manholes. So those manholes had to be, not that they weren't functioning efficiently.
Okay.
And they had to be cleaned.
Okay.
So this one here is not as an example, but will be, the schedule will be the schedule and no different, no changes.
For the record, Clyde Woods, private wastewater facility is
Industrial.
industrial lane.
Thank you, Jim.
Okay, and moving on with the food services industries, there were 9 of them. All but 2 were in compliance. One was the Blackstone Herb and Coffee Bar. That was a property owner, the property owner was responsible, not the business operation. So we contacted the property owner. He was issued the notice of violation and he proceeded to clean the grease trap. With regards to its meals, not metals, Metals Works, they're associated with Cumberland Farms, so they did not have their slips, but we contacted the operator of Cumberland Farms, and they did provide us with the grease recovery. So those things are, and they're important because Bradford Soap was a good example of a lot of grease that came out of the system that we cleaned. So it's very important. While grease traps don't seem to be small in and of itself, it has a cumulative effect. With regards to new permits, a new permit was issued, the Easy Diner, they're located on Quaker Lane. Renewal permits were issued to DE Foods, Riverview Rehab and Health Center, Wendy's in Coventry, Wendy's in West Warwick, and Genesis on Sandy Bottom Lane, Sandy Bottom Road, rather. Now, the maintenance permit was issued, maintenance and repair facility, Fairway Car Wash was issued a permit in February. We were not aware that they began operation in early January, so we're asking for information dating back to January. On February 23rd, we received a letter from their lawyer appealing some of the conditions of the permit. The superintendent and the pretreatment coordinator reviewed his request and denied it because it is a standard requirements of all car washes. So, so a letter was issued. Galvina car repairs, plans were submitted And they were approved, but in this particular case, it was wintertime, and they had asked for a consent agreement to give them a time extension to do the repairs necessary. We granted that time extension. They are going to be proceeding. Plans were reviewed for the Citizens Bank located on Tyoke Avenue, and they were all in compliance. Construction continues for 87 Center of New England, Arctic Mill, Kent County Water Authority, and the Shake Shack. That's all I have.
Any questions for Jim?
Thank you.
Thanks, Jim.
Financial report.
Good evening, council. I'll be Tony tonight. All right, year-to-date operating debt expenses for fiscal year 24 through the end of February totaled over 6.8 million, which is 68% of the annual budget. Overtime for the month of February was over $11,000, which is 8% of the annual budget. Fiscal year 2024 year-to-date overtime is $116,097, which is 81% of the annual budget. Year-to-date savings for salaries is $41,875, which is helping to offset the facility's overtime expenses. Personnel-related expenses for the first 8 months of the fiscal year should be 66.66% of the approved budget, and the facility has expended 65% of that budget. Sludge removal costs through the end of February totaled $520,147, which is 70% of the annual budget. Fiscal year 2024 sewer usage and industrial collections through the end of February totaled over 5.9 million, which is 75% of the total billed. Prior year sewer usage collections through the end of February totaled $560,292, of which $119,464 is penalty interest. Fiscal year 2024 sewer assessment collections through the end of February, through the end of January totaled $280,992, which is 110% of the total billed. Collections continue to remain high due to customers paying down the balance of their sewer assessments. And lastly, cash and investments through the end of February totaled over 3.7 million.
One question.
Sure.
With the last one, for cash and investments, we have March, April, May, June, so 3 months left, 1 quarter left. Do you foresee right now using any of that 3.7 million?
As far as the 3.7 million, I do not believe so. I believe that's actually a cash and investments aside from the unrestricted fund I believe you're thinking of.
Okay. All right, so
But,
Lisa.
but maybe the answer to your question
But is that your question, is the unrestricted
Yeah,
funds? Or
unrestricted.
do you want to
Bradford
tap
soap.
into it? So as I want to remain optimistic, we have incidents like Bradford Soap, and then we had another incident at Bradford Soap. So that's 2 right there. We've had multiple or other ones throughout the fiscal year, so it's going to be challenging. Hopefully, we've been working with Chief Barone as far as getting some FEMA funding, so hopefully that will help reduce the cost, if not eliminate the cost of Bradford Soap. So it's tough to tell at this time until we have more information.
Do you know roughly, you don't have to give me a solid number, but approximately what we have in the unrestricted fund?
I do not remember off the top of my head. I'm sorry.
Oh, it's all right. It's all right.
Any other questions for Jeff? Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you, council.
Thanks, Jeff.
Resolution authorization for funding Rhode Island Infrastructure Bank.
Move, move approval of the resolution.
Second.
Move a second, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Task order number 2, change in contract 2021-05.
Move approval.
Second.
Move a second. Jeff, you want to give some explanation on this? Or Jim?
Basically, the resolution you just passed was the 3 projects that are about to be designed and put out for bids for construction. So as part of that, as part of our original agreement with the town, this task order will design, I broke these down into different components. So you've got the disinfection and the skater, that's going out as one project for the construction. The rehabilitation of the Natick Interceptor will go out as a separate project. That project is the one, if you recall, when we had the break on Water Street, this is a continuation of that project. And the final one is the Maisie Quinn Pump Station. That Maisie Quinn Pump Station saved probably over $200,000 in costs relating to the Bradford Soap Works, because that station, all the flow was diverted to that station, bypassing the Bradford Soap flows. So this will just continue this, bring this forward. This will be part of the loan, the 6.5. This number is part of that 6.5. That upfront, the town pays, gets reimbursed once the loan is given out.
Any questions for Jim? Thank you, Jim. Any other comments? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Authorization to seek federal funding.
Move approval of the resolution.
Second.
Moving second, any discussion? I know, Tony reached out to me about this with a letter, also for a letter, from support from us. And, I told him, I think, obviously, we'll accept any money that's not taxpayer money, it's federal, well, ultimately it's taxpayer money, but we'll take federal money over, town money any day.
And as a follow-up, actually, Congressman Magaziner was here yesterday presenting us with 1.5, a little over $1.5 million in federal funds. So we'd be foolish not to continue the process of applying each and every year for whatever projects we have. But clearly, there's a lot to do within the wastewater treatment facility. So
Any other comments? Hearing none. All in favor?
aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
Public comment for the sewer commission.
Any public comment on sewer before we go into our regular council meeting? Hearing none.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. 1 minute recess. Unless anybody has to-
Sorry, I do have one
Oh.
hand up.
Oh,
Okay.
Hand up. I'm
Yep.
sorry. We're not adjourning. Just state your name and address for the record.
Doesn't matter that we already adjourned.
No,
Make a motion to go back into open session.
I'll second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we're back in open session.
Unless it's not a sort of question.
Brian Moyo, 132 Rollingwood Drive, North Kingstown, Rhode Island.
Hi,
Can you
Brian.
guys hear me? How are you?
Fine, how are you?
Brian.
Hey, you're loud and
Good.
clear.
It's awesome. Sorry to call in. I couldn't be there tonight. So I'm just calling regarding the Clyde Woods report. I didn't know what the proper time to speak was during Jim's presentation or at public comment, so I chose to wait till public comment. My only question is, Jim had indicated that the town in the past, or the sewer department in the past, didn't have within the ordinance the ability to issue violations. I am curious when that ordinance changed, because based on my review of purchasing the property where I am, I did do some research and I did know what I was getting into. But we have been filing requests of the town for many, many years to inspect that sewer line, and we got nowhere with it, so we had to make a decision to tie in our businesses. So we've done that, and I can tell you when we tied in my sewer line yesterday, we forwarded a picture to Jeff's office and showed that there is quite a bit of blockage in the 8-inch sewer line that's there, not just in the sewer manholes. So we brought it to the sewer department's attention. We're hopeful that you guys will follow through and make sure that the owner of the sewer line cleans it and does whatever he has to do to meet that. But if there are, I just want to know when the violation ordinance went in, and basically what happens now if we're using our bathrooms and we get a clog in between now and when you guys have designated in 30 days him to fix it, who, who do I come after? Do I go after the private sewer owner, or do I come back at the sewer department to force this? Because you guys are now giving him a 30-day wiggle room, which I understand, and I'm not mad at. I just want to understand what our options are, because I do believe that you guys have known about this for plenty of time to take action, and I understand, you know, how the process works, but if someone could give me a little input on that, I greatly appreciate it.
Jim's gonna come up to the
Yeah.
mic.
Brian, it's unfortunate that you didn't call us when you made your sewer tie-in, and we could have witnessed that and made some corrections immediately. But that being said, I'm not sure of the date, but I can tell you that I know you've been calling us, calling the treatment plant, speaking with the council and commission. We will make sure that that line is cleaned and that your flows will go to their pump station and then ultimately into West Warwick. I can assure you of that. We will follow the regulations as they are outlined. At the beginning, I'm not sure when the kind of regulations enforcement took place. I don't recall the dates, but it's there now. And we will go forward and get it corrected, so that you don't have a problem at your properties.
Thank you, Jim. I do appreciate it.
Any other questions?
I'm good. Thank you, gentlemen and ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Brian.
Brian.
Do we have any more online?
All right, so once again, a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Bye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.